everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Orange Zeppelin, and today I thought it would be fun to do a redraw of an older drawing. This is from 2019. That feels like 17,000 years ago. And I think this is my very first Lobo drawing, and I was gonna say that I still kind of like it, but the more I look at it, it's like, no, I kind of don't like it at all, which is why we're going to redraw it today. That, and I just like to redraw my old pieces and repaint older paintings where I like the idea, but not necessarily the execution. Actually, not that long ago, I did a teeny tiny painting of Lobo. That right there is kind of a mistake. That was just bleeding through from the next page. This is a really fun little notebook, very teeny tiny. I got this for myself around Christmas, and then I also bought one for each of my parents as stocking stuffers, and I want to fill it by the end of this year. And when I do, I will do a video sharing everything that is inside, because I am having a lot of fun with this. Lately, I've been on a pen and ink kick, but today I'm going to do pretty much the same materials I did in that original drawing. I'm going to be working on toned paper. I'm going to use some colored pencils. I will use some ink. Got some things set out already. And you can see I did a little bit of swatching, just some material testing on this paper, and I've got some sketches just to kind of get some ideas going. And meanwhile, I will be updating you on what's going on both inside and outside the art cave. So let's start with some pencil sketching. This was done over the course of a couple of days due to phone camera reasons. I did do some inking off camera because my battery was running low, and there is one session that I did before I went to work. It was mostly just smoothing out my colors. And I'm going to try to make note on the screen if there's any gaps in my process. Right now, the news from the art cave is that comic commission work has been taking most of my time since the start of the year, and then even before that with my work on Samurai Goblin issue 1 last year. But I'm trying to do my best at balancing commissions and then personal fun stuff. I'll be finishing up my work on Samurai Goblin 2, and once it's available, once it comes out, I will definitely tell you guys, and I'll have a link where you can read it. Actually, I'm going to have a link down below where you can read Samurai Goblin issue 1. And then after that, I'm going to pivot into making more paintings available for sale, which is one of the big goals I have this year, is to have a lot more original art available. I also really want to make a portfolio zine. So my goal each year, I'm going to round up my favorite pieces that would be easy to print, and I'm going to assemble them into a zine for easy distribution. For news outside of the art cave, I have been doing a good job at getting back into exercising, and I'm very, very happy. I used to run half marathons and I used to lift weights all the time, but I fell off of the wagon, and it's been hard getting back on the wagon, but it helps that I genuinely like to exercise. I do ride my bike to work, and I ride on errand runs. I walk on my work breaks, and I walk on my days off. I also started running again. I've started lightly lifting every single time that see, this is the reason that I'm having a hard time getting back on the wagon, is I'll incorporate lifting again and I'll go too hard, because I am not patient at all. Just because I want to deadlift again doesn't mean my legs want to. But they do say the trick to muscle growth is to confuse your muscles, and my muscles are definitely very confused right now. I have also been doing bike rides out to trails and then running on the trail. So get that combination of the bike ride muscle groups and the running muscle groups. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's different muscle groups. I want to do a 20-mile bike ride sometime in the very near future. Recently, I was able to do a 15-mile ride without too much difficulty. I was definitely sore afterwards, but it wasn't brutal at all. And as of recording this voiceover, I'm planning on doing it again tomorrow. Really, the only difficulty in getting the 20-mile ride done is how to do it safely in my town and just doing it in an efficient way. My town is, I think it's very hot dog shaped, if that makes sense. We're kind of split in two by the highway. So we've got like one section of the town on one side, there's another section on the other. I don't want to have to cross to the other side of the highway, and I'm trying to avoid dealing with any really major hills because we do have some very tall hills in parts of the town, and I'm trying to focus on the flatter distances that are also safer to ride on, which is also why I need to do it fairly soon, because once summertime comes and we have the tourist season going on, it is going to get pretty chaotic. I'll need to be doing a lot of my workouts as early in the morning as I can manage. Just a few months from now, riding my bike to work is going to be like Mario Kart. But I have seen videos here on YouTube where people have run marathons in their backyard, so I can make do with some small space. It just might have to get a little repetitive. You know, what's really funny is I used to hate PE in school, and I hated running, and I actually couldn't ride a bike until about 5 years ago. My worst ever grade in school was an 8th grade PE, and I am not even joking. I had a 17% in the class in PE. But as it turns out, working out is actually really fun when you don't have some asshole yelling at you. I mean, occasionally you might get people yelling at you, but there's probably random schizophrenic people. The other benefit of working out, of course, is that I like to eat, and the anime shop where I work is connected to a bakery that has homemade chocolates and cinnamon rolls, and I get free food because the shops have the same owners, so that gets dangerous. I'm actually surrounded on all sides by bakeries and candy stores, and my self-control may be good, but it's not that good. So, very good that I ride my bike everywhere. But back on the topic of comics and videos, I would like to change how I review comics. I don't like how my older comic reviews were done. I think they might be a little boring. I would like to include the comic talk into these art-making vlogs. Right now I've got a couple of comics on my to-read pile that I actually just got from the local library. I got a graphic novel of Dracula and a manga adaptation of Anne of Green Gables. So I went with a very classical literature theme. I'm very curious how the Dracula adaptation will play out, because that's one of those stories that has been remade and adapted so many times. It's interesting to see what the differences are. So in my next video, I'll probably talk a little bit more about those. Right now, I'm actually finishing up reading Miss America by Howard Stern, which I got in one of those little free libraries. And my cat loves that book. She sits on it. She wipes her face all over it. Claudia loves Howard Stern. I never would have known. I'm actually enjoying that book quite a bit. That's going to be one that I hold on to after I finish. I do put a lot of my older books into those little free libraries, so I think I'm well within my right to keep 1 or 2 books that I get out of there. I actually like to put comics and zines into those little free libraries also. That's a very good way to do some zine distribution. And then the other thing I really want to get back into, I've said this so many times, but I need to get back into studying Scottish Gaelic. I love it. It's not easy. Mostly, I've just been studying Scottish whiskey. You probably saw my post-inking libation already, which I'm going to buy a new scotch sometime next week. I actually made a YouTube poll with the scotches I'm thinking of. Mostly things that have been suggested to me, which you could vote on the 3 I'm deciding between, or if you have something that you particularly like, let me know. And it doesn't have to be a scotch specifically. I have liked almost every whiskey I've tried. There's a handful I wasn't into. I got a French one out of a whiskey advent calendar that started really nice and then finished like I threw up in my mouth in the middle of tasting it, so that kind of soured the experience. But this is probably where I should wrap up the video. I am going to show the 2019 version of Lobo compared to my new version. Let me know what you think about the improvement. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. And feel free to check out the links below to see more of my art. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next episode.